Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are talking about an exciting natural product that you can use to revolutionize the health of your chickens. Have you ever heard of diatomaceous earth? It's also known as DE. It is a whitish greyish powder made out of small aquatic organisms. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you 4 really helpful and amazing ways that you can use diatomaceous earth with your chickens and in your coop to keep them healthy. Are you ready to take your chicken raising to the next level? Let's get started. One of the easiest ways and most common options for using DE with chickens is to add it to their dust baths. Chickens will naturally take a dust bath when they have the opportunity to do so to help rid themselves of external parasites. And as well as that, it adds the dust to the excess oils and it keeps them nice and clean. If you want to add DE to their dust bath, all you need to do is either find where they're naturally doing this themselves, or you can provide them with a small box that's about 1 foot by 1 foot and put some dry dust, and into that you add 2 to 3 tablespoons of diatomaceous earth. This will keep the ratio of it to the dirt down low enough that it's still safe for the animals, but it's high enough that it can be really effective against external things like mites and fleas. If you don't have dry dirt where you are, you can bake some in the oven to dry it out. Alternatively, grab some out of the ground and lay it out in a shallow tray somewhere in the sun to dry. Just turn it every couple of days to get it nice and dry and break up the crumbles. Other things you can add to a dust bath include dried herbs like rosemary, thyme, oregano, lavender. All of those, if they're dried up and maybe powdered, you can add those to a dust bath. They help also repel the mites and stuff. You can add wood ash and activated charcoal. Wood ash obviously from your fire. Make sure you haven't been burning anything gross like plastics in there. It just needs to be pure wood ash. Some people like to add a small amount of sulfur powder. You're probably best to talk to your vet about how to best do that for your chickens. And you can also use sand or other clay powders, all mixed in together with plenty of dry dirt. You can directly use DE to treat mites on your chickens. Mites live on your chickens. Some of them live in the perches of your houses as well, so you can dust those with DE too. The DE gets into the exoskeleton of those animals and cuts it up and makes them dehydrate and kills them. So it's a very effective, very safe option. To check if your chickens have mites, flip them upside down and look on their skin around their vent area. One sign is that they've got red skin, another is you'll often see the mites running away. Now you have 2 options. One is to mix the DE with some water and spray it onto the chickens. The downside to that is you're left with a wet chicken. So this method works really well for spraying roosts and around the actual chicken house. It's quite a good way of distributing it without just filling the air with large amounts of powder. A good way to actually apply it to a chicken is to get yourself a sport sock and then tip a good half cup or so of your DE into the sport sock and not the top, and then you can use this as basically a powder puff, like the old-fashioned makeup powder puffs that your grandma might have used to use. And you can dust that onto the skin. All you need to do is part the chicken feathers and dust it onto their skin. Now DE is not great to inhale. The tiny little silica particles can cause some damage to your lungs in large quantities. So if you're doing this, treating your chickens or your chicken coop with diatomaceous earth, be sure to make sure you're wearing a mask that will keep those particles out of your lungs and around the coop where they belong. DE can also be used really effectively to control internal parasites. It's really good at cleaning out intestinal worms, and that also applies to chickens. So to use that, all you need to do is add a couple of tablespoons of DE per 50-pound bag of chicken mash. Alternatively, you can add it to the water. You want to add 1 to 2 tablespoons in every 10 gallons or so of water, which is around 40 litres, and give it a good mix. You will probably need to give that a good stir every day because the DE will settle out of the water and start sitting on the bottom of your watering container. So if you want to go the water way, just make sure you give it a good shake every morning. If you're using DE as a dewormer, it's recommended that you use it for 7 to 14 days in their feed and then give them a break for a couple of weeks, and then you can reintroduce it. It can be used as a preventative as well as a treatment option. If you're going to go this route, it's really important that you use food grade diatomaceous earth, because the silica content apparently can fluctuate and vary between the different types, and if you're ingesting it, you need to make sure it's the safe option. And option number 4 for using it with your chickens is around the coop. Obviously, we have talked about using it to prevent mites and to treat mite infestations, and that's predominantly around your nesting boxes and on your perches. A lot of the little red mites will hide in the little cracks. You can also use it on the floor of the coop, and that can help absorb moisture and prevent odors. It can also help deter other pests like cockroaches and other beetly bug things that might end up in your coop. DE is generally regarded as being quite safe, and that includes using it around your chickens. But in the same way it can irritate our lungs, it can irritate the chickens' lungs as well. So be sure to keep the ratio that you're using it in relatively low, so not going over that couple of tablespoons into the dirt box for them to flick around. And if you're going to be putting it on the floor of the coop, dust it over very lightly and rake it through. This will help to make sure that it's not getting airborne and breathed in by your birds. DE is not safe for bees and ladybugs, so just be aware of where you're using it and when, and don't go flinging it around with too much excitement. Try and keep it away from places where those beneficial insects will be heading. Finally, it is worth noting that DE is not a registered pesticide, and it is not a be all and end all. If you have a really major infestation of something, you may have to look at some additional alternative options to help keep on top of that. However, when integrated in with a natural health plan for your chickens, it can be a really helpful tool to keep your chickens well and healthy. Another thing to realize is what you feed your chickens will greatly impact their health. Here are some ways that we feed our chickens for free, and here are some plants that we grow specifically to feed our hens. I hope you found that helpful. I will see you in the next one.